All right, just 1 second. Okay, so hello everybody, and thank you for joining us. And this is the title. This week we're looking at implicit and explicit knowledge. Okay, so just to remind ourselves, because last week we looked at classroom management, and there were some really lovely ideas from students about what does classroom management involve. And you had lots of lovely ideas. Takwa said classroom management is only possible if you have a very clear and structured lesson plan. Mais pointed out that classroom management becomes a lot easier if your students are motivated. Alan Anna talked about the importance of having different energy levels, I think, in the lesson. So you might have moments when you're doing cooperative work, you might have moments when you're doing competitive work, and it's nice to vary these energy levels. Asil talked about the importance of body language when we're trying to make students do what we want them to do. So a confident body language is important. Amal talked about the importance of speaking clearly, because if you ask students to do things, they must understand you. And Amal talked again about using ICQs to check instructions. Now, does anybody remember what ICQs stands for? Because it's something that we introduced last week. Anyone? An ICQ. Hi Nancy, thanks for joining us. Hi Nadan. Takwa, you have your hand up. What is an ICQ, if you can remember?
Ask the students if they understand the structures and explain what they are understand.
No, not exactly, Takwa. We're not talking about structures here. ICQs, I think you are thinking about CCQs. Yes, CCQs are concept checking questions, Takwa, but an ICQ is a little bit different. Amal, did you have an idea?
It's referred to information, a check, and a question.
Yes, well, not quite, Amal, you're nearly there. It's not referring to information check, it's referring to instruction checking questions, okay? So if I give you a task to do, for example, if I say, open the window, then I could say to you, what do you have to do? What did I ask you to do? Can anyone tell me the answer? Anyone? Put your hand up if you can answer. What did I ask you to do? Asil, I choose you. Can you? What did I ask you to do? No.
This can you repeat because the internet is weak.
Yeah, don't worry. If I say to you, everybody, open a window. and then I say, what did I ask you to do? The answer is
To open the window.
Open the window. Open
It's
the window.
exactly. It seems so simple, but when you are teaching students whose first language is not English, they must understand your instruction. Yeah. So that's some teachers like to use ICQs, instruction checking questions. Okay. And Takwa, you were talking about something which is a bit different, which is a CCQ, a concept checking question. So, for example, I'll give you an example of a concept checking question, CCQ. If I say to you, let's think, horses like to eat grass. Yeah, horses like to eat grass. Imagine, I'm not sure that you understand the word grass. So I could say to you, what color is grass? Who can give me the answer?
Green.
Fantastic. But if you say blue, what does that tell me? Hey, Sarah.
That you're not getting the concept correctly.
Perfect. Thank you. It means, so that is what color is grass is a concept checking question to get inside students' heads. And ICQs are instruction checking questions to see if students understand what to do. Okay, let's continue. Finally, we saw that an important part of classroom management last week, this is something that Takwa and Amal said, is you need a relaxed atmosphere. Yeah, a sense, I think, who was it? It was Takwa said, you need a sense of community. Yeah, because if you have a relaxed atmosphere, you can do many things with your students. I think it links to Mais's idea of motivation as well. Good. So that's what we did last week. And another part of classroom management that we looked at last week was the strange idea of power in the classroom. And you read an article by McCroskey and Richmond, and they talk about 5 types of power in the classroom: coercive power, reward power, legitimate power, referent power, expert power. So who can give me, let's take each of these in turn. Who can give me a short definition in their own words of what is the first one? Coercive power. Maybe put your hand up if you have an answer. Takwa.
Is using punishments to enforce discipline or compliance.
Good, stop.
I want to
That's
say
enough.
example.
That's enough, Takwa. Good. So you can punish your students. That's a type of power. Good. Reward power, that's easy. It's the opposite. Yeah, so we don't need to look at that. You can give them something nice. More difficult, legitimate power. That's more difficult. Who can explain what legitimate power is, according to McCroskey and Richmond? Excuse me. Asil.
It's the teachers right to make certain demands
Hmm.
or requests
Yeah.
as a function of
Yeah,
his.
that's enough.
Oh,
That's enough.
that's
Good.
it.
Thank you. That's correct. The teacher has a right. So because I'm a teacher, I can say to you certain things like, please stand up. Yeah. Now that would be very strange in a normal situation, but because I'm the teacher, it gives me a power linked to the role of being a teacher. Yeah. Okay. Referent power is another more difficult one. Who can explain what referent power is?
I can.
Who is that?
Taqwa.
Taqwa, please explain.
The teacher's influence is based on the students' admiration and respect for them. Example, students follow the advice of their favorite teacher because they respect him and want to please him.
Very good. Yes, it's a lot of this referent power is linked to these personal links between the teacher and the student. Yeah, what you if you like me, maybe you will want to please me. Yeah, well done, Taqwa. That was a good answer. And finally, we have expert power, which allows the teacher to control or helps the teacher to control the students. Who can explain what this might be? Esra.
Expert power is the power that comes from having knowledge or talents or being expertise in something. This gives you
Good. Well done, Esra. So obviously, if you think I know something and you want to learn it, that gives me some power. Yeah, you want to learn my knowledge. And if you have something and I want to learn it, then you would have the expert power. And you know something that makes me think that good teachers, in my experience, often look to find moments when they discover that students are experts in something. If I discover that you are an expert in something that I know nothing about, then it's nice. It changes the power relationship, okay? And I could learn from you. That's a very nice situation in the classroom. Excuse me.
Can I add something?
Yeah, please.
As a result of expert power, students respect and trust the teacher's guidance.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Can I ask you a question? With Roos, you have your question. You have your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to say that the most important thing is that you have to show that you are able to share this expertise, and you are a good one at this, or you know something. Yeah. Did you get me?
Is there a problem?
الو
I think
يبدو قطعة الكهرباء في بريطانيا
يا
يبدو
حرام.
قطعة الكهرباء في بريطانيا he will be with us in a minute inshallah. Maybe the battery of his laptop is flat or something like that. Today is better. I can see the number of attendance is much better than last time. I hope you continue. Today, Bill will let you know 2 pieces of good news for you. I hope that he can share the news today with you, especially for those who continue with us. I'm happy that About today, we have about how many? About 14 or 13 students attendance out of 23 the first time. But it's okay. We expect some students to drop out. Some students sent me some messages
Nazmi,
that they yes. I'm just covering your absence.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there. But
Maybe we expected that maybe electricity is off in the UK.
or maybe my computer is very, very old, unfortunately. Yeah,
Or your computer battery is off.
oh, now it's plugged in. I'm very surprised that, but I hope we are still recording. Okay. Can you see my slides, Nazmi?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so I think, Roos, did you have your hand up when I lost the power?
Yes, I was saying that we have to have the ability to share this expert that we have.
Yeah, I agree. And it's important, it's very important for you when you become English language teachers, you need to be, well, do you think you need to be experts in every aspect of the English language when you become English language teachers? What do you all think? Do you need to be an expert in everything in the English language to be a good English language teacher? Rules.
Sometimes I think yes, because you don't know if a student asks you a question and you get embarrassed if you don't know the answer.
That's a very good answer, Rules. But in my opinion, you don't need to be an expert in every aspect of the English language. In my opinion, Rules, you only need to be an expert in the English language that you are teaching today. Can you see the difference? So,
Yes.
yeah, so I think that nobody knows all of the English language. It's a very complicated thing, yeah? The important thing is you are an expert in what you will be teaching today or tomorrow, yeah? Okay, so don't feel that you have to be an expert in everything. Nazmi, what do you think? Are you an expert in every aspect of the English language?
Not even in Arabic, not in English.
Exactly. So tomorrow, Nazmi, if you have to go and teach a certain part of Arabic that you don't know, then you will do your homework, won't you? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's normal. Yeah. Okay. Okay. The last thing we did last week, we looked at classroom power, and then we looked at classroom language, and we saw that classroom language is pretty predictable. It's pretty special, distinct. It often follows an IRF pattern. Can anybody remember what IRF stands for? Asil. Asil?
I remember.
Who is that?
Taqwa.
Taqwa. Can you remember? Can you tell us what does IRF stand for?
Yes. I stands for initiation.
Good.
R stands for response.
Good.
F stands for feedback.
Excellent. So this is something which gives the teacher power, because the teacher usually does I, and the student does R, and then the teacher does F.
Yeah.
So it becomes very predictable, okay? And that's a good thing in terms of classroom management, because the teacher is the boss. But we saw it's also a little bit of a bad thing. Can anybody remind me why the negative side of IRF? Again, Takwa.
Because the teacher, I can remember you mentioned that the teacher use it more than the students.
Well done, well done. The problem is, you're right, Takwa. I is the teacher, R is the student, F is the teacher. So if you want the students to talk a lot, IRF is not perfect, yeah, which is why I love to do pair work. Okay, the last thing before we start the lesson. Last week you made me laugh. Can you remember? It was something about classroom management and you made me laugh. Can anybody remember when you made me laugh? I'm always happy to teach you, but last week you actually made me laugh. You can't remember, I will tell you. You said that there was little difference between classroom management in an online classroom and classroom management in a physical classroom. So for me, when I teach online, I am very frightened because I'm not good with breakout rooms and I like to move my students around, okay? But you said, there's very little difference between a classroom management in an online classroom and classroom management in a physical classroom. This is because you are young and because you are confident in an online environment. And I'm sure that Nazmi and Salah are the same. You are confident in the online environment. So classroom management is obviously very important online as well. Takwa, you have your hand up.
Yes, I remember that, and I am said that.
Who said it?
I am said that a little between physical classroom and classroom online.
Okay, I forgot who it was who said that. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on today to our focus for today's lesson, and for preparation, we're looking at what it means to know something. And to prepare, I asked you to read Learning Implicit Knowledge versus Learning Explicit Knowledge. So the first question is, what's the difference between these two types of knowledge? Okay, so who feels happy to answer this? Asil, you have your hand up.
Yes. The first question, the difference between implicit and explicit knowledge. Implicit knowledge, unconscious, used automatically and essential for language fluency. But explicit knowledge, conscious, learnable, and verbalizable, used when facing linguistic challenges.
Wow, that's a very good answer. Okay. Perfect answer, Asil. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Now, a longer question. Ellis talks of an interface hypothesis, okay, between learning implicit knowledge and learning explicit knowledge. Now, who feels that they can tell me the view of Krashen? That's the first one. We've got Krashen, De Keyser, and Ellis. So, Nada, do you have your hand up? Madam.
Expression holds the non-interface position, which says that explicit and implicit knowledge are entirely different, and the explicit knowledge cannot be converted into implicit knowledge.
Fantastic. You can stop. You've nailed the idea. Good. Implicit, explicit, two separate things. Excellent. Now, who can describe what De Keyser believes? The second one. Would you like to put up your hand if you think you can do this? It's nice to see we have some new students here today. I'd like to say, so I've seen there's some names I don't usually see, like Wafa, Ragad, Bara, Raha. Welcome to you all. Maybe you weren't able to do the homework, but welcome to you all. But let's go back to the question. What is De Keyser's idea about the interface? That's where two things touch, the interface between implicit knowledge and explicit knowledge. Amal, you have your hand up.
Okay, the interface position, drawing on a skill learning therapy, argues that explicit knowledge becomes implicit knowledge if learners have the opportunity for a plentiful communicative practice.
Well done. You got the most important thing. Lots of practice means that explicit knowledge can move across into implicit knowledge. And remember, this is what IELL called unconscious knowledge. That's another word for implicit knowledge. And finally, we have Ellis. What does he believe about this interface between explicit knowledge and implicit knowledge? Remember, Krashen says there's no relationship. What does Ellis say? IELL, do you have your hand up?
Yes, Alice said that explicit knowledge aids the development of implicit knowledge by helping learners notice linguistic structure and gaps between input and output.
Good. I think the important word there is noticing gaps. According to Alice, it's important for learners to see that there is a gap between what they think they know and the real situation. Well done. So excuse me. All right, now. So today's focus, we're going to discuss Ellis's principle 4, the difference between developing learners' implicit knowledge of language and their explicit knowledge. Okay, so we've looked at that. And this is very strange because I know that you are training to be English language teachers, okay? But for the next 15 minutes, we're going to pretend that you are learning English and I'm your English language teacher, okay? So for the next 15 minutes, you have to put on a different hat, okay? You are not trainee English language teachers, okay? Instead, you are students. You're learning English. I'm your teacher, okay? So can you tell me what will happen for the next 15 minutes? Who can tell me? Mice.
We will pretend that we are English student learner, and you are our teacher.
And Mice, how is that different from the normal situation?
Because now we in the university life we are learning to become English language teachers, but now we are going to be English students.
Fantastic, Mice. What a great answer. I hope everybody saw that I asked you what did I ask you? An ICQ or a CCQ? Takwa.
ICQ.
Well done. I checked that you had understood my instructions. I asked you an ICQ and Mice gave me the perfect answer. Okay, so you are my English language students now. Okay, you're not trainee teachers. Okay, so let's begin our lesson. Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's nice to see you all. Okay, I'm going to tell you today about my summer holidays. Okay, obviously I love the summer. Every summer I go on holiday to the same place with my family. Okay, so one of you put your hand up and ask me question number 1. Rose.
Where do you go?
Good. I go on holiday to Italy. Okay. Who can ask me a question for number 2? Put your hand up. Takwa.
What you do?
Question number 2. Can you see question 2, Takwa? Rose, can you ask question 2?
How do you go?
Good. I go by plane. Okay. It's a long way from my country to Italy. Question number 3. Who can ask me a question? Mice.
Where do you stay?
I stay with Giovanna's mother. I stay with my mother-in-law. Okay. So who can ask me a question for number 4? I will ask a new student, Wafa. Wafa. Can you answer? What is the question for number 4? Are you able to? Or Raghad? Raha? Are you able to tell me the question?
What do you do?
Well done. Who was that?
Raghad.
Raghad. Thank you, Raghad. Excellent. My answer. We go swimming most days in a river. There's beautiful cold water coming down from the mountains. So we go swimming most days. Okay. And I eat a lot of ice cream, Raghad, in the summer as well. And the final question, who can ask me that? Manar, could you ask the last one? No? Anyone?
Yes, Manar is ready.
Okay, Manar, can you ask the last question?
Hello, Manar. Are you there?
Maybe she has a problem with the internet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Mice, can you ask me the final question?
Do you enjoy your holiday?
What do you think, Manar? Mice?
Yes, I think so. You enjoy it.
100%. I love my holiday. I really look forward to it every year. Good. Thank you. So that's my summer holidays. Oh, but now look, we're looking at my holidays. 55 years ago, my childhood summer holidays. When I was a child, every summer I went on holiday to the same place with my family when I was a child. Now, ask me a question. Put your hand up if you can ask me a question. Question number 1. Rose.
Where did you go? Or
Good.
can we say, where were you going? Because you were going many times.
No, the first question is better. Okay, good. Allah, can you ask me the question, or Amina, the question for number 2? Excuse me, Rose, if you want, we can talk about the difference between where did you go and where were you going after the lesson. Okay, number 2.
Okay.
Number 2, Allah, Amina, can you ask me the question?
How did you go? How did you go?
Fantastic. Who can ask me the question for number 3? Who can ask me the question? Wafa, are you there? Number 3. Esra, number 3.
Where did you stay?
Fantastic. And number 4, who can ask me the question? Rahad.
What did you do?
Fantastic. And number 5, who can ask me the question? Allah, Amina.
Did you enjoy?
Good. Did you enjoy the holiday? Okay. You don't know the answers. I will tell you the answers. Okay. I want you to find out the answers by reading a text about my childhood holidays. Okay. So do you remember the questions at the bottom? The first question was, where did you go? The second question, how did you go? Where did you stay? What did you do? Did you enjoy it? Okay, you've got 2 minutes, no talking, no talking. Answer the questions. Okay. Okay. Have you got the answers to the questions? Okay. So, what's the answer to the first one? Who can put their hand up? Just one word. Who can put, yeah, the first one. Rose.
To the south coast of England.
Good. The Isle of Wight. Yes, on the south coast of England. Who can give me the answer to the second one? Isra.
By the train.
Good. And the third one? Nada.
At your grandmother's house.
And the fourth one? Allah, Amina.
I remember making sand castles with my brother and lots of swimming too.
Excellent. And the last one? Isra.
I enjoyed it.
Yes, the answer is yes. Fantastic. Good. So, so let's look at the first question then. Where did you go? What was the, where did I live when I was a child? What's the answer to this question? Rachad.
In London.
Yes. And who can remember the exact words? Not in London. What were the exact words?
Scotland. Scotland.
Oh, when I was a child, the answer is in London. But what were the exact words from the text? Does anyone remember? Esra.
I used to live in London.
Well done. You used to live in London. Good. Okay. Do I live in London now? Rose, do I live in London now?
Now you are living in Scotland.
No. Good. You live in Scotland. Okay. Did I live in London for a short time or a long time? Excuse me, you can shout out the answer. You don't need to put up your hand now. Did I live in London for a short time or a long time?
Long time.
Yeah, I was for all of my childhood, a long time. Can you see at the bottom of the page?
Yes.
We have what is called a timeline. We have the past on the left, we have now, we have the future on the right. Where shall we put London? Shall we put it in the future?
No, a long time.
Now.
Where will we put it on the timeline?
Before now.
It's
In the
before,
past.
in the past, yes, so on the left. And shall we just put it at one point, or was it a long period?
No, a long period.
It was a long period, so let's put it onto the timeline. Whoa, there it is, a long period in the past. Here's another question. What time, do you remember when I was a child? What time did we get up?
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning. Well done. Who can tell me the exact sentence? Who can remember the exact sentence? This time, put your hand up because this is a difficult question. Who can remember the exact sentence? Everybody think. Isra.
Maybe we used to get up early in the morning.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Isra. Mice, do you remember?
I think every morning we used to get a train to go to different beaches. Maybe.
No.
A bus, yes.
No.
Early in the
Get up
morning,
early
we
and
used to
go
take a
by
bus.
train.
Look at the question. What
Get up
time?
early and go by train.
Good. So who can remember the exact sentence?
Yes.
Asil?
تقوى.
Maybe we would get up early.
Well done, Asil. You would get up early. Good. So that's the exact sentence. Okay. Do we get up early now? No, I can tell you. I like to sleep, stay in bed. Okay. Here's another question. Did the holidays happen only once? That's a difficult question. So think about it.
No.
Mice.
No, because the paragraph we're saying that every summer we go to holiday.
Fantastic. Stop, mice. Every summer. So the answer is many times, every summer, as Mice says. Good. Okay. Do I have happy memories? Do I have happy memories?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, of course I do. I loved going on holiday to my grandmother's house. So here we have a timeline again at the bottom. On the left is the past. On the right is the future. And in the middle is now. Where shall we put this? You would get up early. Where shall we put it?
Before now.
Before now. It's in the past. Good. Okay. Let's put it. There we are. So it's in the past. You would get up early. Okay, good. Excuse me. Oh. Okay, sorry, my computer is having problems. Okay, so there. every summer I would get up early, get up early, get up early, get up early. Okay, good. I would get up early. Okay, so let's have a look at the difference between would and used to. You would get up early. Here's a question. Think, can I change would to used to here? Put your hand up if you think you have the answer. Taqwa.
Yes, we can.
Good. Let's see. Yeah, it's the same. I agree, Taqwa. Okay. Okay. So you would get up early. Can I change would to used to? Taqwa says you used to get up early. Perfect. Here's another question. You used to live in London. Can I change used to would?
I guess no.
You're right. You are right. Was that nice?
No, Isra.
Isra? Okay. No, Isra is right. We can't change would to used to. Okay. So the question is, why can we change would to used to in the first one, but we can't change used to would in the second one? Now, I'm going to leave you to think for 1 minute. Okay? Just think for 1 minute. Why is that? In the first one, we can change would to used to. You would get up early, you used to get up early. In the second one, you can't change used to would. Ooh. Weird. Why is that? Allah, Amina, what do you think?
I think used to talk about habits that end in the past, but would can talk about habits in the past and now or the future. Yani we can't talk about it. Would can refer for the future and the past at the same time.
Okay, was that Allah or Amina?
Allah.
Allah, well done, Allah. I think you're right for used to, but I think we need a little bit more about would. Nada, you had your hand up. Can you say anything more? Can you add anything?
I think that when using I used to, it implies that something was a regular part of your past, but it's not as much as part of your life now. While when using would, it's more about something you would do in a certain situation or something you would want to do if the circumstances were different.
Not exactly, Nada. You are the same as Allah and Amna. You understand used to, but we need to do some more work with would. Mice, you have your hand up, yeah?
Okay, I think we can use used to and would to talk about habits that we used to do in the past. But for talking about a past state and never exist now, we just use used to and not would.
Well done. Well done. Was that mice? Was that mice? Yeah,
Yes,
well done.
I am right.
Mice, we say you have nailed it. You understand? Okay. So I'm sorry I didn't put you in pairs because I'm not confident with breakout rooms, but you mice, you have given the perfect answer. Okay. So usually I have to help my students and I put them into, I show them this and I ask them to divide these verbs, 7 verbs, into 2 groups. So can you divide these verbs into 2 groups? And Mice has already given us the answer. She has said that some of these verbs are actions and some of these verbs are states. So Esra, do you think you can divide them into actions and states?
Yeah, for actions, we have to go, to get excited, to take a bus, to get up. But for states, to have a car, to live, and maybe to be. I'm not sure to be, like, to be what?
Yeah, that's right. It's a state. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So to summarize what Mike said, state against action verbs, we can use used to for past repeated actions and past states. Every summer we used to take the train. I used to live in London. That's the second is a state. But we can use would for past repeated actions, but not for past states. So every summer we would take the train to go on holiday. It's an action. I would live in London. No, no, no. That's a state. Okay. So now, can you change your hats again? Okay. So what are you now? Who can tell me? You have new hats on. Who could put your hand up if you can tell me your new hat? Rose.
We are now language teachers.
Exactly. Language teachers at IUG, not English language students. Good. So who can remember the basic stages of the lesson? That's a difficult question. Yeah. How did I start the lesson? That's a very difficult question to ask you to remember. What was the first thing I asked you to do? Nice.
The first thing to change our hat from English language teachers to English students.
Okay. Then what was the next? What was the first thing in the lesson that I asked you to do? You're right, Mice, but in the actual lesson, Roos.
We asked you about your childhood.
You've forgotten something, Roos. Before that.
About your holidays, I'm sorry, about your holidays.
About your
Holidays.
Yes. First, you asked me about my holidays now, and then you asked me about my childhood holidays. Yeah. Why do you think I started by asking you to ask me about my holidays now?
Maybe to see the grammar rules for us.
Can you explain more, Allah, Amna?
Yes, at the first we asked you in the present tense, like
What?
every day now. But in the past, in your childhood, we ask you about the past tense.
Yeah,
So
but why did I start with the present tense? Why did I start with the present tense?
Because you were talking about a repeated habit.
No, I don't think that was the reason why. No.
Because it's much easier.
Yes. Who said that?
I am Rosanna, Rose.
Rose. Yes, Rose. I think you're right, Rose. I wanted to start with something easy to warm you up, yeah, to set the context of holidays, okay? Because it would be crazy for me to teach you used to and would if you don't even know the present simple tense. So Rose is right. I tried to start with something very easy to see if you were good students, to see your level of English, yeah? And then when I saw that you know the present simple tense, I thought, okay, I can continue with more difficult stuff. Thank you, Rose. Okay, so the first stage was I talked in the present simple tense about holidays. Then the second stage was you asked me some questions about my holidays in the past. What was the next stage? Allah, Amna.
Yes, you ask us to read the paragraph silently and then answer the questions below.
Good. I didn't tell you the answers orally. I asked you to read a paragraph to get the answers. Why do you think I did it with a reading text, which instead of answering orally? Rose?
I think to improve our skills at reading.
No, that's not the reason, Rose. There's a different reason.
I'm not the one that was talking.
Sorry.
Actually, I think to reading.
Again, Rose, I lost you there.
I said that you wanted us to learn a new.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wanted you to focus on a new structure, used to and would. So I gave it to you on a text, and that made it much easier for me to focus on the new structure. Okay. And after that, what was the next thing that happened in the lesson? Rose, now you have your hand up, yeah?
Yes, you explained for us the difference between would and used to, and how can we use them. And
Okay.
you gave us verbs to classify them.
Okay. Here's an important question. Did I explain or did I do something different?
Yes, you asked us to explain or to figure out what's the difference.
Yes. Rachad. That was Rachad, I think. Yep. You're right.
No, Isra.
Oh, Isra. I'm sorry. I can never tell who is giving the answer. I think you understand that. Yeah. You're right, Isra. I didn't explain. I asked you to explain the difference by asking you some CCQs. So you remember we've been talking about ICQs today, or last week. Okay, so these are all examples of CCQs. Remember the CCQ, what color is grass? If you say blue,
Yes.
you have a problem. Here's another example of a CCQ. Can I change would to used to? Okay. Can I change used to would? Some more CCQs. Do we get up early now? Did this happen only once? Do I have happy memories? All of these are CCQs. If you give me the wrong answer, then I know that we have a problem. Okay. So those were the stages of the lesson. And we were looking for your homework, okay? We were looking at Ellis, page 215, paragraph 2. And we've already answered these questions at the beginning of the lesson, okay? Ellis was talking about an interface hypothesis for explicit versus implicit knowledge. And you told me the positions of Krashen, Tekesa, and Ellis already. Fantastic. And these were the answers. So according to Krashen, according to the non-interface position, explicit and implicit knowledge are entirely distinct. Okay. And the second one, you told me this already. The interface position argues the exact opposite. Tekesa says that explicit knowledge becomes implicit knowledge if learners have the opportunity for plentiful communicative practice. And then you've already told me the weak interface position by Ellis he claims that explicit knowledge can prime a number of key acquisitional processes, in particularly noticing and noticing the gap. So these paragraphs are taken from the article which you read for homework. So Krashen says that there is no interface between explicit and implicit knowledge. He says it's pointless to try to develop explicit knowledge. Students just need loads of input and they'll work out the rules for themselves. De Keyser disagrees. He says via communication, explicit knowledge can become implicit knowledge. And Ellis says that the teacher can help learners see a gap between the input and their own output. It's a sort of light bulb moment, you know, when you have fantastic idea. Okay. So here's the question at the bottom. Which position is best supported by today's used to and would lesson? So just have a think. Don't answer. Does anybody feel brave? What do you think my lesson gives support to today? It's a difficult question. You have to choose. Is it Krashen or De Keyser or Ellis? I see. Pakwa, you are a brave woman. What do you think?
De Keyser?
Why do you think that?
Because he say explicit knowledge can become implicit through extensive practice and that skill building activities, and we practicing that.
I have a problem with that, Pakwa, because I don't think that you did much communication. Okay, De Keyser talks about the importance of communication. But in my opinion, you didn't have a chance, Takwa, to talk to Allah and Amna and Isra and Rachad, yeah? So that, I think, is why I have a problem with De Keyser for my lesson. Nada. What do you think, Nada?
I think it is Ellis's perspective because we like processes the weak interface position, which claims that the explicit knowledge primes a number of key acquisitional processes, and you have shown us the gap between using would and used to. So maybe Ellis's perspective.
I agree. Now, I think that, in my opinion, I was able to show you a gap between your knowledge and your output, okay, and the input that I was giving you. Now, I can't remember, but one of you gave me the perfect answer about the difference between state and action verbs. Excuse me, who was it? Who was it who gave me this perfect answer between state and action verbs? Was it? But well, it's not important, okay? One of you was able to tell me that we use used to for state and action verbs, and we use would only for action verbs. Now, normally, with my students. None of them know this. None of the native English speakers know this difference, okay? So, well done that you were able to tell me this difference. But I think that my own lesson probably supports Ellis's idea that the teacher can help learners see a gap between the input and their own output, okay? So I think my own lesson probably illustrates Ellis's weak interface. But if we took my lesson about my childhood holidays, how would we need to change my lesson to follow Krashen's position? How would we need to change it to follow De Case's position? Oh, that's a difficult question. What does Krashen believe? Well, let's read the next paragraph, and that will help us to answer it. So this is Krashen's idea. Read it again. And this is also De Case's. And finally, we have Ellis's. So, Krashen's idea, the non-interface position leads to a zero grammar approach, i.e. one that prioritizes meaning-centered approaches such as task-based teaching. So, if we're following Krashen's approach, how would we change my lesson?
Maybe into a practice or activities instead of studying the rules itself. The rules.
Yeah, well done. Who was that? Who was speaking there?
Nada.
Nada, well done, Nada. I agree. So you would just have practice activities talking about holidays when you were a child. Good. Let's look at the second one then. Okay, so how would we change the lesson to follow De Case's idea? His idea is the interface position supports PPP. The idea that the grammatical structure should be first presented explicitly and then practiced until it is fully proceduralized. So, let's see who can answer now. Rose.
If we change the method that you used, like you first let us practice and then you presented the grammar. But if we switch them, it can like be the decreaser one.
Yes, I agree. Well done. That's a good answer, Rose. So with the decaser one, if we want to change my lesson, we would start with the present the grammar, and then practice it with controlled practice, and then some free practice. Well done, Rose. Okay, and I followed the weak interface position. My lesson was all about consciousness raising, making you aware of the rules. Okay, so, all right, good. So just to summarize what we've just said, Krashen's position, we would remove the teacher-fronted explanation, just lots and lots of exposure, readings and listening to used to, would, maybe with some communicative activities likely to elicit the structures. And then De Case's position, my lesson only had the first of the PPP, presentation, practice, production. All I did was the presentation, okay? I didn't do the practice and the production stages, okay? So we'd need to add some controlled practice and some freer production. Well done. All right, now we haven't finished the lesson because I've got a couple of announcements that I'd like to make before you go. So I hope you can stay for a few minutes. So to prepare for week 7, I want you to read Ellis's Principle 3. Instruction needs to ensure that learners also focus on form. Now, you don't need to read the first part. I want you to start on page 213, where it says instruction can cater. And Ellis makes 3 specific points. So I want you to think about today's used to and would lesson. And think about the first point Ellis writes. And I taught you today a specific grammatical feature. But was my lesson an inductive approach or a deductive approach? You will see that Ellis makes another point. And today, in my used to and would lesson, I gave you a focused task. But did the task require you to comprehend and process specific grammatical structures in the input, or instead to produce the structures? And one last question regarding point 3. How could provision of time for planning and corrective feedback both help students pay attention to form? So at the moment, maybe these questions, you don't understand the questions. But if you read Ellis's Principle 3, I think you will understand my question. Okay. Now, before we finish, a couple more things I want to do. First, Nancy, are you still with us?
Yes.
Okay. Can I introduce a student from Northumbria University? Can you all see Nancy now? Can you see Nancy?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today.
Nancy, are you happy to answer a couple of questions from our students today?
Sure.
Sure, yeah. Okay. Would you like to ask Nancy any questions? Nancy,
Yeah.
I'm very surprised because usually the students are very, very brave and they like to ask questions. Nancy, will you tell the students a little bit about you and your project? Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I am Nancy, and I'm a PhD student. I'm in my 3rd year now, and my research project is about using virtual exchange, like connecting students from different countries online. And I would like to look into the way that the teachers co-design such program, how they implement it, how they assess it, and how that kind of activity, that kind of program can help students with their global citizenship education. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. And this semester, I have the chance to audit Bill's class, and when I heard about this online lesson, and I asked him if I could join you all, and I'm so grateful that Bill and Nazmi and you all let me join today's lesson. So yeah, really nice to see you all, see and hear you all today.
Fantastic. Do you have any questions for Nancy?
Let me start, so my students will follow later, maybe until they think of questions.
Okay.
I would like to welcome you, Nancy, and thank you for joining us today. And I hope you find this session interesting and related to your research project. And I would like also to let you know that this Thursday, we will start another collaboration on teaching students from UK to Palestine for master students on a qualitative research and how to collect data and analyze data and qualitative research in full collaboration with Bill's wife, Giovanna, and other colleagues, Gracia, and other colleagues from the UK. So if you are interested and if this is relevant to your research, we'd be happy to welcome you to join us whenever you can and whenever you feel it's useful for your research. We'll be happy to be with us.
Thank you so much.
For more details, you can later communicate with Bill's wife, Giovanna. So I'm working with Bill on one project and with his wife on another project.
Thank you
you
so much. Yeah.
Thank you for your kind invitation, Nazmi. Does anybody have any questions for Nancy before I move on?
I guess, yeah, maybe no questions for now, but anytime if you have any questions, just send it to Bill maybe, and then he can forward it to me later. Thank you again for letting me join you all today.
Thank you, Nancy. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've got two pieces of news which I think will be interesting for you. As Nancy mentioned, she watches me while I teach every week. Every week, I teach the same course. You receive the same course as my students at Northumbria University. And my students would like to do a combined lesson with you if you are willing to do that online. So this is something I would like you to think about for next week, okay? My students are very nice people. Their knowledge of English grammar is not as good as your knowledge of English grammar, okay? Which I always find very interesting. Usually international students who've learned English as a second language have better knowledge of grammar than people from the UK, okay? But my students are full of energy, okay? And if you would like to do a combined lesson online, of course, then it's something that we would like to do. And the second piece of interesting news is about Professor Ellis. Do you know who am I talking about? Professor Ellis. Who is that?
The one who wrote the article?
That's right. Who said that? Excuse me.
Mice.
Mice. Well done, Mice. Yes, you've noticed that Ellis is every week you read something by Professor Rod Ellis. And amazingly, I wrote to Professor Ellis 2 weeks ago, and I told him we are working with students from the Islamic University of Gaza, and he said he was very happy to hear that you are doing this work, and I think Nazmi will agree with me that Professor Ellis is quite we say a big fish. Is that correct, Nazmi?
Yes, we say in Arabic, "Hoot." It means very knowledgeable and very experienced. It has wide expertise on the field, in his field. So yes, he's a very famous, well-known international English language teacher expert. So it's an honor and a privilege for my students to hopefully to be able to meet him or to listen to him or to communicate with him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one thing I want to say to my students, when I was doing my master degree in the UK 37 years ago, I was quoting and reading his articles and books. And now he's more famous than
He is.
37 years ago. Yes.
Yeah. When I told my boss about I told him that Rod Ellis is happy to meet my students from the Islamic University of Gaza. He couldn't believe it because Rod Ellis is such a big fish. He is such a big fish that my colleagues were at a conference and they were frightened to go to speak to him because he was too important. So I think it is a very good opportunity for us. So I want you to think about these two questions, and you can tell me next week what your opinions are. If you'd like to do a combined lesson with my students, let me know. And if you're interested in meeting Professor Ellis, then let me know. Okay. I know that you are not frightened people. You are always happy to ask questions. Okay. So I'm sure you could have some questions for Professor Ellis. Okay. Nazmi, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I would like just to advise my students, without any hesitation, I strongly encourage you to accept the two requests and the two suggestions made by Dr. Bill, because really he worked hard to do this. It's good for you to interact with international students and international experts and the scholars. That's good opportunity. You are at a privilege compared to hundreds and thousands of students, not only in Gaza, also in other countries and other universities. So it's an honor for you all to attend and participate. And that's one of some of the prizes or some of the incentives where we kept talking to you about. So in fact, these are excellent opportunities for you, ladies, to join the two meetings. That's my strong recommendation to you all.
And next week when we meet, you can tell me your feelings about my two questions. And is there anything you would like to say before we finish?
I'd like to say that we will be very honored to have Professor Ellis and also having a combined lesson with other students. Also, I want to thank Nancy for joining us today. We're very delighted to have her, even without asking questions, but we're very happy to have you.
And Nancy, you remember I told you that their English is good, yeah? Yeah.
Very impressive. And also the energy and the enthusiasm that I could observe throughout the lesson, very impressive. So thank you again.
Yeah. Any more questions before we finish? Okay. Just when I go, can I say I was very happy to see Bara and Wafa, the new students today. Some students haven't been able to come before. Sondas, I was especially happy to see you, so thank you. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you, Nazmin.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.